Yeah. Yeah. Whoops. Up off net. Up off net. What's up, my people? This is Showbizz, don't. All right, man, look. Who do we got here? Are we ready for the rematch of another debate? Oops. All right, man, look. Let's get to the debate. First, Showbizz the coffee. Black, 2 sugars. Yo, I see cookie dough. I see you. Oops. What's going on, Kane? What's going on with you? Let's go. Who else we got? Rebel Ray. What's going on with you? Boxing Menace. Salute to you, everybody here. I don't know what's wrong with Jeremy. I don't know what Jeremy wants. I don't know. I really don't know why he wants the beating. Okay, but we'll see. Oh, I think we got somebody here. Oh, that's Rebel Ray. Who else we got? Yeah, I really don't know what it is. So what you guys think we should talk about? What should we speak on? What do you think? I know we talked about the heavyweight division for a while last time. I think people are a little bit they're kind of done. That we've exhausted that topic. What's going on, Mason? Shout out to you. That boxing writer. I'm here. Are you? Let's see what we got. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I thought he wasn't going to show up. Let's see if he's going to show up.
I'm here.
Oops! You showed up. You're looking good. You have no black eyes, no swelling from the last beating. You're looking good.
You know what? I'm dressed up. I'm dressed like 007 because I'm going to be sniping your arguments all night, baby. Let's do it.
Oh, oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I'm ready for this one.
I don't know. I'm like the Raging Bull right now. I'm coming at you.
That sounds good, man. That's one of my favorite movies, by the way. Jake LaMotta, he's the man.
Exactly. So you ready to get this on?
Man, let's go.
All right. It begins right now. Hello, fight fans. I am that boxing writer, Jeremy C. Arages, joined with my opponent tonight. I'll let him introduce himself.
Showbiz the dope.
I knew it was coming.
Look.
So we have our official debate rematch going down right now where we examine some of the hottest topics in boxing today. Last time we went heavyweight heavy. This time we are going to start off by taking a look at the welterweights. So I'm going to dip into it, starting things off, a little bit of context here. We've got the PBC, Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford with Top Rank and Bob Arum. Obviously rated #1 and #2 respectively by boxrec.com. Why haven't they fought yet? What's going on? They're both undefeated. They both have great power. They both have the skills. Why can't we get this fight together? What's going on? So the first question that we're going to take a look at, are the PBC and Errol Spence Jr. ducking Terence Crawford and Top Rank? Showbiz, you got the floor.
You know what? First I want to say this.
Go for it.
I can't help but to just applaud the welterweight division. How good they're looking. I mean, you don't get this often in boxing, and I'm talking about, the days of the late '70s and the early '80s where you had Sugar Ray Leonard and you had
Hagler,
Man with the Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran,
Hearns,
you had Tommy the Hitman Hearns, right?
Everybody.
You had Wilfred Benitez, you had those boys. So when you think about the welterweight division right now, you have Danny Swift Garcia, you have, of course, Errol the True Spence, you have Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, you
Thurman,
have Terence Crawford, you have Keith one-time Thurman, and you have all these guys, Showtime Sean Porter. You have all these guys, and you're expecting, hey, these guys got to mix it up. Well, quite frankly, they have been. Danny Swift Garcia, he fought Keith one-time Thurman. He fought Showtime Sean Porter. Showtime Sean Porter, he fought them all. He fought Errol the True Spence. He fought Keith Thurman, Danny Swift Garcia. He fought Kell Brook. You have Errol the True Spence. He fought Kell Brook. He fought Showtime Sean Porter. Danny Garcia. These guys are fighting them all. Now, what you're asking me is why haven't they taken on Terence Crawford? And what people like to do, a lot of us boxing fans, we like to do, we must say it must be fair. And I'm saying, how can it be fair? It can't be fair from those warriors. Those warriors are taking each other on. And when I look at Terence Bud Crawford and I look at what he has done in the welterweight, you tell me, what has he done as a welterweight? Why would you be afraid of Terence Bud Crawford when you have fought the likes of Kell Brook, when you have fought the likes of Showtime Sean Porter? I'm speaking of Errol Spence here, having that night fight. I'm talking about fight of the year type of candidate. Why would you be afraid of Terence Bud Crawford?
All right, I'll tell you why you should be afraid of Terence Bud Crawford and why every welterweight isn't thinking they're afraid. They are afraid, okay? All those guys that you just mentioned, minus Kell Brook, are PBC guys.
That's right.
So it's easy for them to all fight each other and have a little party. And guess what? You got Al Heyman, who's the brain trust of the whole thing, putting them together. And he has an idea in his head of what he wants to happen. He wants a supreme ruler, someone that nobody can touch. Hey, I got all these other guys that can fight a bunch of other guys. And yeah, they can have a belt here and there. But I want one guy that's going to be the best. And he wants it to be Errol Spence Jr. He's the most talented out of all those guys. He's got the most ability. He's the strongest. We already saw him against Porter. And yeah, he beat him by split decision. Split decision. Was not unanimous. So you've got all those things going on. Now, I think it's really interesting. When you take a look at Errol Spence Jr., I don't think his resume is that great. He's got two big names that we can take a look on his resume. Obviously, Sean Porter, and I'm not taking anything away from Sean Porter. He's fantastic. But he's not in the same category as Terence Crawford or Errol Spence. They're just a cut above him. Now, at the same time, you take a look at Mikey Garcia, the next biggest name on his resume. Guy went up 2 weight classes to fight him. Are you kidding me? It was never a contest. It was a fun little experiment. Give him some respect. He took a beating for 12 rounds. Okay. And then you've got Terence Crawford. And why hasn't he fought anybody? Well, you've got the whole deck loaded against him, and nobody wants that. They can say they want to fight this guy. And guess what? PBC probably does want to put Danny Garcia and Thurman and Porter against him because they want him to be dented. They want him to take a beating. They want to send him through a murderer's row of welterweights. So that way, when he comes to Errol Spence, hey, Errol Spence is pretty fresh. He had one really tough fight, and then he fought a bunch of other guys. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say one last thing, and I'm going to give it back to you to retort. If you actually take a look at Bud Crawford's resume, at every one that he's fought, okay, welterweights, who has he fought? If you take a look at, okay, but that's not his fault. Because he's not going to be dumb and take these fights and get hurt against Danny Garcia when he wants the best, but they're not giving him the best because Al Heyman knows what he's doing. He doesn't want to put in his crown jewel for the possibility of getting a beating, which could happen, which could and I think would happen, to be quite honest with you. But if we're taking a look at the body of work, I just mentioned 2 names, and you can throw in Kell Brook. If we look at Terence Crawford, you've got Amir Khan, Jose Benavidez Jr., Jeff Horn. Then we go down a weight division, John Molina Jr., Victor Postal, Ray Beltran, Thomas Delorme, Yuri Gambora, Ricky Burns, Andre Klimov, for goodness sakes. I can go deep into his resume. I cannot, after a few names, and okay, Lamont Peterson, who was the shadow of Lamont Peterson by the time that he stepped in there. Kell Brook. Kell Brook was man with half a face at that point, okay? Triple G beat it in. It was gone. He doesn't have a glass jaw. He has a glass face, you know? And he's got a heart of a warrior, but he can't take the beating. So when you ask me why should they be afraid? Because the dude's got skills, and they don't want to put that fight on. They want to force Top Rank's hand. And he doesn't want to allow them to do it. All right, go back at me.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. That was a great effort. Good job. You know what? I loved it. I was very happy that you came with all. It was very winded. You did a good job. Let me tell you.
Thank you.
The fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is, I think this is extremely ironic. I think it's extremely ironic coming from Top Rank. Okay, who is looking at PBC and they're looking at them as cowards. Well, they have short memory because I don't have to go back that far when it was Top Rank who was holding all the cards. You remember when Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao was taking on Timothy Bradley. Then he took on Timothy Bradley. Then he took on Timothy Bradley. Clottey, he was taking on Margarito. Margarito took on Cotto. Cotto took on Clottey. Cotto took on Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao took on Marquez. 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 When they were holding all the cards, Top Rank was making sure that his fighters, his stable, was only fighting each other. Sure, he was building his fighters, the brand within their stable, just like what the PBC is doing. So I think it's extremely ironic, and I think it's hilarious for Top Rank, anyone from Top Rank, to look at PBC and say, why? You know exactly why. But I'll tell you this, though. You don't want to put all of that on the fighters. The fighters. Errol Spence, who just said 2 weeks ago that he'll wash Terence Crawford. Bud Crawford, he spoke to Errol Spence. They said they FaceTime each other. They left that conversation with respect. So that means that they recognize real, right? They looked at each other. They saw each other as recognizable, said that you are a real one. Even Terence Bud Crawford said that he would not take on Errol the True Spence now anyway, because he wouldn't want to take on Errol Spence after the car accident, right? You don't want to say Terence Crawford, you know, he beat Errol the True Spence right after he had a car accident. He's not the same Errol the True Spence. He don't want that stain because Terence Crawford, he is a real one. But I like the way you're looking at pre-welterweight division, and that was outside of our argument, wasn't it? We were talking about the welterweight division, and in the welterweight division, when you talk about what Terence Bud Crawford can do, Terence Bud Crawford can do what the great Manny Pacquiao did, what Floyd Money Mayweather did, when they wanted to fight each other, when they were trying to make that argument of who was better, they were taking on like opponents. What Terence Bud Crawford can do is take on somebody that he shared with Errol the True Spence, and that's Special K, Kell Brook. Now listen to me. When Floyd Money Mayweather was talking about that he was better than Manny Pacquiao, he looked at Manny Pacquiao struggling with Marquez, and he said, wait a minute, y'all looked at me taking on Marquez. You saw that as a cherry pick. I'm better than Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao looked at Ricky Hatton, said, what took you so long to knock him out? This is what you do when you're trying to say that you're better than someone else. You don't take on Jeff Horn, who was knocked out by Zerafa, who Kell Brook
who beat Manny Pacquiao.
By the way. Oh, my, don't give me that.
Now, I didn't say it was the right decision, but he still got the W, okay? We could look at a lot of fights and say, if I look at Floyd Mayweather, guess what? You lost to Jose Luis Castillo, but I can't prove it because you got a W on your record. Doesn't mean anything, okay? But you could still say that I have that win. The point is, if he fights Kell Brook, that's a waste of his time because Kell Brook isn't Kell Brook anymore. The dude has had both. Kell Brook is not Kell Brook anymore. He's washed up. He's done. Guess what?
He only lost to Errol the True Spence and a middleweight, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, Triple G.
And he's spent because of it. He's the bionic man now. He's got 2 metal plates in his head. He's got metal here, and he's got more metal than Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator, okay? It doesn't. I'm telling you that right now. Why fight this guy? Let him go fight Amir Khan, okay? Let him go fight that fight. Not Terence Crawford. The bottom line is I can't say and speak for what Top Rank did in the past. And guess what? I think this practice has been around for a long time, and it doesn't make it any more right now than how wrong it was back then. What I'm saying is that, come on, now we have a building bridge here. We already built the bridge between Top Rank and PBC, so let's do it again. The thing is, they want to protect this guy, and I'm not saying that Spence doesn't want to fight. I think Spence wants to fight everybody. I think if you put him in a closet with Terence Crawford right now, he'd say, let's do it. Let's have a fight in this closet.
Okay.
However,
so what are you
I'm saying Al Heyman and PBC are playing hardball, and they do not want to take the risk. Spence wants to take the risk, but guess what? You can't bite that hand that feeds you, and that's PBC right now. That's the thing.
Now, hold on. Let's put a little bit of responsibility on Terence Crawford here.
He's doing everything. He's doing everything he can.
Did he?
Yes.
When he had the opportunity to go to the PBC, who did he resign with? When he knew that everybody he wanted to fight with was with the PBC. If that is his argument.
Show me the money. Treat me right. Treat me right.
Danny Swift Garcia isn't complaining. Keith One-Time Thurman isn't complaining. Errol the True Spence isn't complaining. I'm not hearing complaints from Showtime Sean Porter or Ugas. None of them
they're not complaining yet. Wait till after this COVID-19 thing happens. Let's get to see who has more money in their pockets. Is it going to be Bob Arum or is it going to be Al Heyman? All I know is that I know where Al Heyman's money comes from, or where Bob Aaron's money comes from. Anyway,
Oh,
let's move on to the next one. Keeping on the same idea, let's do a deep dive on this whole welterweight thing. Let's treat the welterweight division like they're corporations for a second, right? Everyone's talking about the stock market that's going down. Well, let's talk about boxers as if they're stocks. Which welterweights are you buying and which welterweights are you selling? Now, I'm going to start this one off. And just because I think for time's sake, it's going to be a lot of revisited things. But I'm buying stock in Terence Crawford, at least for the next 1.5 to 2 years. Now, here's why I say that.
Go ahead.
You're getting ready. He's 32 years old. Right now, he's in his physical prime. 2 years from now, once that clock hits and guys turn 34, weird things happen. So right now, in the immediacy, if you're going to tell me which guy that I buy stock in, if you put Terence Crawford and you put Errol Spence in a ring right now, Terence Crawford wins. And I could look at that for a lot of different reasons. Okay. He's the more technically sound fighter. He is more technically sound. He's got the faster hands. I also think that he's craftier. The fact that they're both southpaws, but one guy can switch it up and the other guy not so much, I think that puts a huge edge in his pocket. The other thing is he's got 4 years of boxing, pro boxing experience over Errol Spence. Okay. And I think that speaks volumes that he has that experience, that he's been there, he's done that. Now, do I think it's competitive? Do I think it's back and forth? Do I think it's even more competitive than Spence versus Porter? Absolutely. However, I think you got a guy, when you have a boxer of that caliber, I think right now he has what it takes. What I think PBC is hoping, well, let's wait a couple of years and see what happens. Let's wait him out. It's very reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao.
I knew you were going to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did. I know you did. All right, go for it, Show. What do you got?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious answer is Errol the True Spence. If you're going to put money, if you're going to treat him like a business, the obvious answer is Errol the True Spence, okay? Mm-hmm. Especially out of the two. Errol the True Spence is the #1 welterweight in the world. He's ranked #1. On top of that, he is in his prime as well. He's young. He's what, 29, 30 years old?
Yeah, he's young, yeah.
He's a unified champion there at welterweight. Mm-hmm. And his stock is going up as far as the pound-for-pound ranking. Terence Bud Crawford, guess what? His stock is going down. He is ranked #4 pound for pound. He was ranked, what, 1 or 2? Now is Canelo Alvarez 1, and Lomachenko 2, and Inoue is 3. And now Terence Bud Crawford is 4. He's going down, my friend. Now, on top of that, what makes it so funny, you saying that you will put your money in the business of Terence Bud Crawford, it goes against your very first argument.
What's that?
You have everything, the supply, okay, we're talking about supply and demand. The supply is over there with the PBC. Errol the True Spence can have those easy fights with Danny Swift, Garcia, and with Keith One-Time Thurman, and with Ugas, and with Showtime Sean Porter again. So if you want to put your money in someone, you're going to have to put it in Errol the True Spence here, because he has all the fighters over there, all the money to make over there, all the easy fights to make over there, and he's the unified champion, and he's younger, and he's just a bad boy. Now, as far as the matchup between the two, who will win, I don't know, and that's why we really want to watch the fight. Now, what I do notice out of Terence Bud Crawford, which I think more people got to really pay attention to, Terence Bud Crawford, one heck of a fighter. Now, if you were to ask me, skill-wise, pound for pound, who's the best? I'm saying Terence Bud Crawford is 1-2. Okay, it's Lomachenko, Terence Bud Crawford. Skill-wise. But let me tell you something about Terence Bud Crawford. Why did he get dropped by the Mean Machine? Terence Bud Crawford isn't as slick as many people think. Terence Bud Crawford is more of a fighter than many people recognize. Terence Bud Crawford is willing to trade, which is why he's so exciting, which is why he's so fantastic. But trading with Errol the True Spence, you may be getting dribbled off the canvas one more time.
Now, I'm going to come back to you one more time, and then I'm going to put on a subtopic here. Your first point that you came at me with, I think, is null and void, because I think we're not giving enough credit to boxing fans and the voice and the power that they have. Yeah, of course, PBC has the depth at welterweight. However, there's only so long that you can say, oh, well, Terence Crawford doesn't want to fight. That doesn't work. When you say, well, hey, fight Manny Pacquiao. Hey, fight Danny Garcia. And you don't say, hey, fight Errol Spence Jr. Well, then the people are going to erupt and say, well, why not? Why not? You got to make them fight. You got to make them. It's going to be, it's apparent to me right now that they don't want that fight. They're trying to force his hand. That's what Al Heyman does. He is a businessman, and he is playing some of the most serious business in the game. That's what he's doing. Now, as far as what happened to Edges Kavalauskas, the Mean Machine, honestly, I think the dude just got bored, okay? I think he got bored. He's like, okay, I'm going to fight this guy. And the guy came at him and gave him a good press for 2 rounds. And then he turned it on, and he knocked him out. He had to get that wake-up call. And I think everyone's had that moment where it's occurred, but that's where it stands. That's where I think we're at now. Let's go into – okay, all right, go for it.
I know your issue.
Yep. My issue is Al Heyman, yes.
No.
Yeah,
That's not your issue. I know your
That's
problem.
my issue.
Can
What
I
is it?
tell you your issue?
What's my issue?
Give me an opportunity to tell you your issue.
Tell me the issue.
You are undervaluing Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter. When those boys fight each other, it's not a clear winner. It's always razor thin. Danny Swift Garcia versus Showtime Sean Porter, that was razor thin. Showtime Sean Porter versus Errol Spence, that was razor thin. Showtime Sean Porter versus Keith One-Time Thurman, that was razor thin. And Keith One-Time Thurman versus Danny Garcia, that was razor thin. Even Ugas probably should have gotten a nod against Showtime Sean Porter. See, you think that Errol the True Spence and Terence Bud Crawford is head and shoulders above these guys.
No.
Errol the True Spence hold on, wait a minute. Errol the True Spence squeaked out a victory over Showtime Sean Porter. If he didn't knock him down, Showtime Sean Porter would have taken that fight. On top of that, even Special K. Kell Brook beat Showtime Sean Porter. Let me tell you this. Those guys are razor thin, including Terence Bud Crawford. If Terence Bud Crawford takes on Danny Garcia, or if Terence Bud Crawford takes on Showtime Sean Porter, you'll probably be shocked by how close that fight is and what you'll find out about Terence Bud Crawford as a welterweight.
I'm going to make my retort very short because I got the subtopic we need to go into.
Okay.
As we look at the Shawshank Redemption as a lesson, time and pressure. Time and pressure. Those guys have time and they have pressure against each other. Now, if you put Errol Spence and Porter against each other, I don't think it'd be anywhere as close as it was the first time. And I think that's the problem, that these guys are grinding each other down. Ultimately, it's something that could completely backfire on the PBC. They better think of the consequences. Subtopic. Errol Spence recently stated on All the Smoke podcast that he would have defeated a prime Floyd Mayweather. Do you agree, Show?
Absolutely not. Floyd Money Mayweather. Let me tell you something. Floyd Money Mayweather would have beaten Errol the True Spence for 12 rounds. But I want to say this. I get where Errol the True Spence is coming from.
Sure, yeah.
Well, but I'm not even talking about just as a competitor. I understand that. Look, hell, Sugar Ray Leonard said that if you were to ask me who would win between me and Iron Mike Tyson, I'm going to say me.
Of course.
But not just as a competitor. I'm talking about this. He mixed it up with Floyd Money Mayweather, right? Sparring, okay? Now, I know what happens in sparring stays in sparring, but I heard it through the grapevine that Errol Spence gave him a black eye. That's right. I heard in sparring that Errol Spence gave Floyd Money Mayweather a black eye. Errol Spence, he mixed it up with Floyd Money Mayweather, and he knows what he was dealing with. No, granted, Floyd Money Mayweather was long in the tooth. He was at the twilight of his career. But Errol the True Spence wasn't in his prime either. He was green. So I understand where Errol Spence is coming from. He's saying, hold on, wait a second. Now, I sparred with this guy on multiple occasions. Me, right now, in my physical prime, and Floyd Mayweather, his prime, I think I can take him. I get it. But he's lying, though, because Floyd Money Mayweather would beat him for 12 rounds.
And again, if we're talking prime versus prime, which, again, I think Errol Spence, let's put it this way. There's so many question marks around him right now. What's his current state? Because we just don't know. He's been out of the ring for so long, plus the car accident, not to make light of that in the least. When you have something, he's lucky to be alive. So we don't even know where he's going to be at. He looks good. He seems good. But regardless, even if you go before the car accident, prime against prime, Floyd Mayweather was just too quick, too elusive, arguably the best defensive fighter who ever lived. And when you have a guy that's that skilled at defense, and especially when you put it all together, he has more power than people give him credit for, too. I mean, he did knock dudes out when he was trying to do that. Now, I also think that as he got older, his hands got more brittle. With even Muhammad Ali, the same thing happened, right? He got older. Once he hit 32, he'd break his hands like that. had to spend so much. He couldn't put the same muster on his punches because of what occurred to his hands. So I think if we look at the prime before that, oh yeah, it's a boxing lesson. But Errol Spence should think that he's the greatest. That's what the greatest, or guys that aspire to be the greatest, do. They always think that I am the greatest. You can't beat me. Absolutely. Once you lose that, you've got nothing. So I think we're in agreement on this one. So
yeah, finally.
There you go. So next topic, and we're right on time right now, and I'm loving it. By the way, to the people watching at home, we're probably going to go longer than we went last time. We're shooting for a full hour on this bad boy. Let's switch it up a little bit. Now we're going into a different realm, and I honestly don't even know which division we're talking about right now because there's many. Is Canelo Alvarez the new Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Show, go for it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Canelo Alvarez, he's a guy that has an asterisk next to every one of his wins. Okay. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Money Mayweather has a tremendously great resume. Okay, but when you think of Floyd Money Mayweather, everyone they have a reason why he won every fight that he won. Manny Pacquiao, he waited till he got too old, but Floyd Money Mayweather was older than him. And Manny Pacquiao just defeated Keith One-Time Thurman for the WBA crown. They said Floyd Money Mayweather, Cotto, he waited for Cotto to get too old. But when he beat Canelo was too young. That's what's going on with Canelo Alvarez. He knocked out Kovalev. They said Kovalev, he threw the fight. I've heard that. They said Canelo Alvarez, him taking on, he lost to Triple G twice. He was given that and all those things. Canelo Alvarez, he has an asterisk next to every victory, everything he does, when, quite frankly, Canelo Alvarez, he has a tremendous resume. He's doing great things. Right now, he's holding a belt in 3 different weight classes at the same time? We haven't seen anything like that since Henry Armstrong. Granted, Henry Armstrong, it was, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. There was no tweener weights, and there wasn't a whole bunch of different belts. But at the same time, that is a huge achievement, with Canelo Alvarez being a champion in 3 different weight classes. So Canelo Alvarez, he's doing fantastic things. And the funny thing is, right now, with every victory, everything that he does, him being ranked #1 pound for pound, fans are starting to call him Clenello, because they said, well, that must be due to the clenbuterol. So Canelo Alvarez, that's what happens when you're at the top. He is today's Floyd Money Mayweather.
Now, we'll get into the clenbuterol thing in just a second, but staying on this particular topic, I, again, agree with you on this one. Yeah, he is most definitely the new Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you can look at the simple metric that made Floyd Money Mayweather. Money. The dude controls all the money. Everybody wants to fight Canelo because he is where the money's at. Everybody wants to buy some Canelo, and it has nothing to do. Yeah, guess what? He's Mexico's champion. He could be the next great Mexican champion from a long lineage and a long heritage of champions.
Future Hall of Famer.
Easy. Yeah, first ballot, no problem. But on top of that, I think really he studied the same career path that Floyd had. I think, even though he lost to Floyd, I think he studied him, and I think he wised up that, I got to put a few new tools in my toolbox here. And I think he realized, I can't be getting hit as much as I'm getting hit. I have to be a little bit more elusive. I have to make sure that I don't gas out later rounds. So I have to fight smarter. And I think he's fighting smarter ever since that loss that he took to Mayweather. But yeah, I mean, when he can do what he's doing and go from this division to that division, up to this division, down to that division, he can do it all. He sells no matter what. You can put him in against Rocky Fielding, and he is going to pack the house. And when was the last time we heard of Rocky Fielding ever again? Right? I mean, come on, that dude should not be named Rocky. That's a Rocky wasted on the wrong guy. So yeah, he's great. He's putting a beat down on all the best boxers, and all that talk about Kovalev took a dive. That's hogwash. That did not happen. Now, was it a tight turnaround? Yes, but when you want to chase a payday, the best payday you're ever going to get, you do it. And guess what? If you're really that much bigger, stronger, better than a guy, you'd still probably beat him. Yeah. But let's be honest about it. What happened was Kovalev wasn't the same Kovalev anymore. We've been talking about this. What happens to a guy when he's no longer in his prime? He starts to decline. Kovalev has been declining for a while. Ever since the second Andre Ward fight, he's been on the decline. His best fight probably was that first Andre Ward fight, which I thought he won. Ever since then, it's been downhill, and there's a whole lot going on there other than the rumored alcohol abuse. I think there's something mentally, again, kind of in the same sense that we talk about Adrian Broner having something wrong with them. To me, there's something wrong with Sergey Kovalev because something's not computing right. He's doing these crazy, irrational things like punching people for turning down his sexual advances that aren't anywhere near normal and that are more than just criminal tendencies. It's who are you going to get upstairs? Beyond that, back to this subtopic now, and I'll speak on it and then I'll pass it to you. Looking at the trouble that he had with clenbuterol and how much should that play a role in his legacy, I think is a very interesting question. He really got just a little tap on the fist when he got busted for clenbuterol. It was minor trouble. It was excused for the famous tainted meat defense. The question is, does he or should he get a pass for that? And I'm not sure that he should get a pass for that. I have a real problem with the fact that he wasn't held accountable for testing. I mean, come on, tainted meat is still the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Do I think he's using now? No. Do I think he was using then against Triple G in the first fight? Oh my God, yes, because the drug test happened right after the fight, in between the two fights. He got caught, then he says, oh no, it was tainted meat. Dude, your trainer, Chepo Reynoso, used to be a butcher. When you have a butcher as a trainer, you should be getting the best meat ever. You shouldn't be getting clenbuterol meat. You should be getting meat imported from Tokyo, the ones that have been massaged and had the spa treatment and all that type of stuff. Not clenbuterol meat. Are you kidding me? So yeah, the dude tested dirty, and I wish that there would have been more there. And when you say there should be an asterisk on his name, I think it should be a big asterisk, a bigger asterisk than Mayweather, that's for sure. And I have a real problem that he wasn't held accountable for that. Almost as bad an excuse for getting in trouble as Deontay Wilder's excuse for losing the fight. Oh. Anyway, back to you.
Look, I definitely understand where you're coming from there when you're talking about, the clenbuterol. Mm-hmm. But Canelo Alvarez deserved a pass. It was due to tainted meat. Okay, look. Let me tell you something. This is what happens. No, just hold on 1 second. This is what happens. What happens is this: when someone fails a drug test, all of a sudden they're Big Baby Miller. When you don't know the details, the details is this: in Mexico, they have a notorious clenbuterol tainted meat issue. You just have to look into it. Look, you have their national soccer team. The entire team failed due to clenbuterol tainted meat. You had Eric Morales. He's failed due to clenbuterol. You have Francisco Vargas. He also failed due to. Let me tell you something. In Mexico, they have a clenbuterol issue. Now, when you look at Canelo Alvarez and what actually happened there, yes, he did fail the drug test, the first drug test. He failed the urine test. That's right. And a week or so later, maybe 10 days, a week or two later, he said, look, give me a second test to let you know that I did not do anything. I didn't take any performance-enhancing clenbuterol here. They took a hair follicle. When they took a hair follicle, which is a more potent test, there was no traces of clenbuterol. How is that? Because the amount of clenbuterol that he had actually passed through the urine. And what they said, what the Nevada Commission actually said about that was he did not ingest enough clenbuterol that would have affected his performance, that would have enhanced his performance. It was consistent with that of someone who ingested tainted meat. Okay, so he did not take in enough. If he did take in enough clenbuterol, it would have been in his hair follicle, which you can have enough. If you take enough clenbuterol, it would test in your hair follicle several months after. So he didn't take enough clenbuterol, which is why the WBC did the right thing as far as the testing, raising the threshold past the limit of someone who takes in clenbuterol through contaminated meat. Now, let me tell you this, as far as the type of meat he should be ingesting and should be eating and stuff like that. He ate that meat back home. And let me tell you something. If mama's cooking, if my mama's cooking, her baby's eating. So I do think that he ate back home. He ate the meat back home. He took in some tainted meat, and it wasn't enough to enhance his performance. WBC responded correctly by raising the threshold and allowing for more clenbuterol to be ingested by an athlete before you say, well, he failed.
Now, I'm gonna put this before he switched subjects. I'm just gonna have a quick retort to that. Anytime you have to say, I suppose that he did this, or I'm guessing that he did this, that's a real dangerous argument to make. We don't know. There is no definite. We don't know if it was from tainted meat or if it was him taking whatever it is he was taking.
That's what
we
they
do
said.
know
They said
that
it was consistent with.
No. You could say, okay, it was consistent with me having brushed up someone that put on clenbuterol perfume. It doesn't mean anything. However, it got in my system. It got in my system. If it's there, there's cycling off and on things. And when I see cycles, yeah, if you play your cards right, you know exactly when you should be cycling off. So it shouldn't be in a hair follicle test, but it still lingers there. I think there are too many ifs, and I think that no matter what, you have to hold the person accountable. Now, you're going to tell me after all these different fights that he's had since the age of 15 years old when he turned pro, that this is the first time that this has happened? He wasn't eating tainted meat before then when he was a nobody? Come on. By those standards, he didn't have a steak before a fight back when he was 15?
Your first argument is saying, hey, no ifs, ands, no suppose, and now you're speaking in a rhetorical sense.
No. What I'm saying is that we can't sit here and suppose. You could sit here and say, well, if we're going to open up that Pandora's box, that's what we have to look at all the different possibilities. The bottom line is, if you have something in your system, I don't care if you say, well, this could have occurred. It's a could. You should be held accountable. You should be punished for it. And to me, the book's the book. Throw it at him, get in trouble. It's his first offense. Give him 6 months. Okay, then, and let's go on to the next one.
This is what I think. I think the issue is in the testing. You have a lot of these athletes. John Bones Jones, the last time he failed, and then they said, well, wait a minute, he didn't have so much of this. It's in the testing. Now, let me tell you, you can go to GNC, and you can pick up fat burners that have stuff that'll help you fail the test.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, they have to raise the threshold, not just that it's been detectable. They have to have a threshold that says, okay, this much actually enhance your performance. If it's just simply a detectable, if you just detected it, then you fail, then that is no fair. There's a lot of these guys that take vitamins, that take fat burning, that's not actually trying to take any PEDs or anything to enhance their performance, and they're failing drug tests, and that's no fair to the athlete. What they have to do is fix these tests, and I think the WBC did the right thing to raise the threshold. That's just my point.
Hey, you submit everything that you're taking to VADA. They look at it and tell you, don't take this. It's funny how every guy after it's funny how every guy after they get busted, oh yeah, I forgot to put that on the list. Oops. I forgot about that.
You wanted Canelo Alvarez to submit me? Hey, here's the thing.
Hey, oops, I forgot that I had a shot that was supposed to be stem cells, and it busted me for 27 different PEDs. Jarrell, Big Baby Miller. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Let's move on to the next one. Another subtopic that we can take a look here, and I guess we're still going to stay on the point of Canelo right now, and again, we're doing beautifully on time. Speaking of Canelo, regardless of everything that he's done, and I'm not taking that away from his abilities, just saying he should be cautioned for it and held accountable. What is the best division for Canelo at this point? And I'm going to jump this one off, and I'm sure that you're going to jump down my neck. And again, we're talking slight levels here. I think we can both agree on the fact that he's outgrowing the middleweight division. So that leaves two options: light heavyweight, super middleweight. Which one's best for him? To me, when I look at it, I'm thinking it's got to be super middleweight. And I'll tell you why I say super middleweight division over light heavyweight division. As far as who he is, obviously he has the ability to beat top-rated guys that are light heavyweights. He did it with Kovalev, who used to be the boogeyman of the division. I don't care if it's not the same Kovalev that was here 4 years ago. It's still Sergey Kovalev. He's a much bigger man. He's strong. He's powerful. His chin is suspect at this point. However, when you look at Canelo, he is not a very big man. He's only 5'8", and he has a 70-inch reach. Now, when you start going up against those guys in the light heavyweight division, they are much bigger men. Now, Kovalev was a bigger guy too, but a bigger guy that wasn't in his prime. When we start talking about the light heavyweight division, you got guys that are in their primes and guys we don't know how good they are. You're talking about Beterbiev. You're talking about Bivol. I don't know if and I'm not saying he wouldn't win against those guys, but it's not as clear as if he was going against Sergey Kovalev because we don't know how good a Beterbiev is or a Bivol is. Now, what we do know what the super middleweight division is. We do know the guys that are there right now. Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith. Right now, if you're going to tell me who's the strongest guy, including Canelo, out of that group I just said, it's Canelo. Canelo's a stronger guy than Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant is not a tremendous knockout puncher. Everyone wants to say he is because he fights a guy named Fagan Boots. Because he fights, I mean, I have a hard time even saying that without just smiling. But, you know, you can even look at even the guy that he beat, Uzcategui, okay? Okay, he beat Uzcategui, who got beat by a journeyman his very next fight. I mean, there's no sense in it. Let's go on to the next guy. Let's go to Billy Joe Saunders. Yes, technically sound, but he's not Mike Tyson in the super middleweight division. Callum Smith, good all-around guy, has good power, has skill. Little scarier, however, when you saw his fight against John Ryder, you say, ooh, if that was Canelo, he would have gotten beaten like a drum. So right now, I just named almost every single belt holder, and I say Canelo beats him like a drum, becomes undisputed champion at super middleweight. David Benavidez, a little bit more of a question mark for me. Out of all those guys, Benavidez has more power than Canelo.
He's a problem.
But when it comes to boxing skills, Canelo's light years ahead. I mean, just his footwork, his thinking. Benavidez isn't there yet mentally for that fight. Back to you.
You know what? The first thing I want to say is I think you may be undervaluing Billy Joe Saunders a little bit here because styles make fights. Canelo Alvarez, who does he struggle with? Slick fighters. Billy Joe Saunders, a slick fighter. There's a lot of people that think Lara should have gotten a nod against Canelo, and we all know what Floyd Mayweather did against Canelo. So styles make fights. Now, as far as where should he campaign, everything you just said is exactly why I would actually want him to campaign at light heavyweight over super middleweight, because I know the end of the movie. I know the end of the movie already as a boxing fan. I know that he's going to beat Callum Smith. Like you said, Callum Smith, John Ryder should have gotten a nod. As far as Billy Joe Saunders, like you said, his last fight was against who? And he didn't look that good.
No.
So when you think of all the great fighters, what did the great fighters do? We just got done talking about Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, he was never really a welterweight, but that's what makes him so great. You talking about Floyd Money Mayweather, he's a little guy. He's not a big guy. And he beat Oscar De La Hoya at 154. He beat Cotto at 154. He campaigned at 147. What I'm saying is Canelo Alvarez, if you really want to be great, if you're talking about him being one of the greatest fighters, especially Mexican fighters, Hall of Fame, but one of the greatest fighters of all time, he's going to have to go upstairs. I'm going to tell you who's upstairs. You have at the low tier, you know, the top 10, at the bottom of the top 10, you have Marcus Brown down there. You got Pascal down there. You got those boys down there. But then as you, Badu Jack, but as you move up to the Alexander Volciks and the Bivols, who, like you said, I'm not sure if Canelo Alvarez can beat Bivol. I'm not sure if Canelo Alvarez can beat Beterbiev. But what I do know is Canelo Alvarez is ranked number 2 as a light heavyweight. Why? Because he did knock out Kovalev. And when you talk about Kovalev and how huge, how great of a success that was in knocking out Kovalev, not outboxing him, but knocking him out. The last time I saw Kovalev, correct me if I'm wrong, he was knocking out Yard with the jab. So Canelo Alvarez, 5'9" or not, him being able to do what he did, knocking out Kovalev, who beat out Alvarez, who went on to knock out Yard with the jab, to go ahead and do that as a little guy. He is a short guy, but to do those things and maybe take on Beterbiev, well, we think Beterbiev can probably beat him. We don't know.
We don't know.
For Canelo Alvarez's career to take on those big guys, not just big guys, but big skillful guys, you will start comparing them to the successors. Things like what Manny Pacquiao did, what Henry Armstrong did, what Sugar Ray Robinson was able to do, what Floyd Money Mayweather was able to do. What I'm saying is, if Canelo Alvarez is daring to be great, don't give me a movie that I know the ending to. Give me the movie where I'm you know, just holding tight. I can't believe who's gonna win. I'm eating popcorn. I'm nervous. I'm never nervous. I would never be nervous with Canelo Alvarez taking on Callum Smith. I know the end of that movie.
So retorting to that, is it more impressive if he beats some of those guys than the super middleweights that I mentioned? Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with you 100% on that. However, I think when you're talking about legacy, when you're talking about where do we put a guy in history, he's already great in my book. And I think he's already great in your book too. Like you said, Hall of Famer. To me, he really doesn't have anything else to prove to me.
He's 29.
And 29. He doesn't have any more to prove to anybody. He's already done everything that's going to put him in the Hall of Fame. Now we're talking about being thought of as even greater. Hey, he could still make a case for the best of all time. We don't know what he's going to do next. However, know your limits. Be smart. You mentioned a name there that I love, Sugar Ray Robinson. Arguably one of the top 5 best fighters all time, pound for pound, no doubt about it. Sugar Ray Robinson didn't always know his limits. And a lot of times that got him into trouble later in life. Now, when we say knowing your limits, say, okay, this is a dude that I want to say as an amateur was starting off as a featherweight and as a lightweight. That's what Sugar Ray Robinson was doing. And then he realized, oh my God, I can become much bigger. And he got huge. Now, the problem was he tried to go up to light heavyweight, and that did not turn out well for him. In fact, it got him stopped against, I think it was it Maxim or was it, I think it was Maxim.
Yeah, Maxim, right? The light heavyweight.
Now he excused that. Yeah, he said, the heat and yada, yada, yada. I get that. But it's still a fight that it wore him down over time. It was a much bigger guy. And then he said, ooh, man, even in his own autobiography, he says, yeah, that dude had power that I hadn't felt before because I jumped up. I think you have to know your limits. And I think Canelo has to be wise here and say, okay, I can beat some of those guys at light heavyweight, but can I beat all of them? And if you're his promoter and you're a guy that, again, we're talking matchmakers here, we're talking guys that are trying to extend the career of their guys, hey, he can always go up and, nick someone off at the light heavyweight division, but to clear out an entire division first and then move on to the next, that's like, he'd be like a parasite. He's a boxing parasite. He's going to move up to super middleweight, eat the whole thing, and then maybe at the twilight of his career, knock off 1 or 2 guys and ride off into the sunset. I know you don't like a predictable story, but I do. I don't know.
Well, look, let me tell you something. I'm happy no one told Manny Pacquiao to know his limits. He wouldn't have been an 8-division world champion. I'm happy no one told Roy Jones Jr. to know his limits. He wouldn't have been able to do what he did, becoming a heavyweight champion. I'm happy that no one told Muhammad Ali to know his limits when they said, George Foreman, he's going to kill you. What makes you great is saying, I don't have a limit. I'm limitless. Sugar Ray Leonard, he was gone for 5 years? He had 1 fight against Kevin Howard. And then he came back, never fought at middleweight before, and took on Marvelous Marvin Hagler and beat him. That's what made him great. Canelo Alvarez, if he pushes his so-called limits, and there shouldn't even be a limit, but if he pushes it, then that's something he could be proud of. Win, lose, or draw. See, the thing is, too many people put value in being undefeated. That's the exact same thing why Floyd Mayweather is criticized the way that he is.
And Canelo isn't undefeated.
Right, exactly. But what I'm saying is people put too much value. Hey, look,
sure.
Don't lose. Know your limits. Don't do this. Don't wake up in the morning. You may trip and fall. What I'm saying is, in order to be great, even in a loss, you can be great. So I think Canelo Alvarez, I would like him better if he moved up to light heavyweight.
I'd like to see a little bit more middle ground there as far as when we say limits, it's not all or nothing. Again, I think he's exceeded the limits that people thought that he was capable of. However, what I think is that sometimes limits are important, especially when you talk about boxing, because it can get you hurt. And guess what? Muhammad Ali did have people telling him, know your limits. And he said, I have no limits. And then you have something really sad happening to a great champion to where he's getting beaten terribly when he has no business being in the ring, a la Larry Holmes. One of the saddest things that we've ever seen, to the point where people are walking away from him. I don't want to see that happen to Canelo. Obviously, he's 29 years old. He's not there yet. But it's a weird thing in this boxing game. Sometimes it just happens overnight. Roy Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't know what those quotient of punches are, and that's the scary thing. All right, we're a little bit over time. Next topic. Now you're going to start this one off since I got the last one. Oh, this is one that I've been calm up until now.
What is it?
COVID.
What is it?
COVID-19 has boxing at a standstill right now. There was recently a show in Nicaragua where the promoters are talking about a live boxing bout with no audience. And now promoters are talking about having another series of events in June. Bob Arum said it. I'd like to have 3 events a week in June. Is it too soon for live boxing shows? Show, you got the floor.
You know what? Yeah, I get this. This is a very, very important subject. This is a very important subject because we're not just talking about numbers here. We're talking about lives. Okay. So yeah, we've seen what COVID-19 was able to do to the world. Okay, not just our nation, all over the world, globally. And we had many lost lives, and it's a very dangerous thing. But I don't think it's too soon, Jeremy. I actually think that we should go ahead and move forward with the sport. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. We don't want to overcorrect a situation. Okay, overcorrect trying to fix something where we create another problem. Where now we're burning candles from both ends. Okay, over the past week, we have 3.2 million unemployed people, newly unemployed people. Over the past 7 weeks here in our nation, we have 33 million unemployed people. We're talking about a financial issue going on here. So we can be in a situation where we try to overcorrect something. We start burning the candles from both ends. What I'm saying is this. I think that it is essential. And Florida said that sporting events is essential to their economy. I think it is. I think it is essential to make sure that we do not fall into a financial situation as well. So I'm not saying just move forward and have sporting events like willy-nilly. What I'm saying is this: be careful, be safe, take all the precautions. If you take all the precautions necessary, if everyone involved, and not too many involved, but if everyone involved are having testing, having their test, and everyone involved passed the test, and you did everything you had to sanitize you did everything you had to do, take all the precautions where the probability of someone contracting the virus is little to none, then I think we should move forward so we can keep these people's jobs intact. We can help boost the economy, at least try to sustain it where it is now, so we don't fall into a further regression or some kind of depression. We have to make sure that we don't fall into that as well. I think that it is important, not just financially, but to have a sense of normalcy. When you brought up Shawshank Redemption, I got to think about Andy Dufresne. Remember the scene where he played the music, the opera music, and the inmates, they heard the music and they felt free again. They didn't feel like inmates anymore. To have a sense of normalcy for us boxing fans, for us sport fans, I think that's also important. Go ahead.
All right, I think we need to look at, and I can't speak for a month from now or 2 months from now or 3 months from now. All I can speak of is right now, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Here's why. It's very simple. It's way too soon to think about boxing right now. Now, if we're talking about a depression, if we're talking about job loss, if we're talking about all that, having boxing and MMA and wrestling out right now, that's not going to fix the economy. Yeah, it'll keep some people employed and it'll put some money in some people's pockets, but it's not going to fix, or it's not going to even come close to putting a dent in the issues that are facing the world, not just this country. We're both in the United States. We're both in Illinois on a Canadian television network right now. So I think it's important that we recognize that. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about it specifically from an issue with the United States. Now, here's the problem with having events right now, especially in June. You were spitting some interesting facts there, and you're right. Yeah, 3 million people and a lot more million people are going to be losing jobs the next month and the month after and the month. We are in a depression right now. It's happening. A lot of people, including myself, are at home and we're depressed because life isn't normal. Normal's gone. It's out the window, and it's not going to be normal again for a long, long time. And some people are saying it may never be 100% normal again.
This is the new normal, yeah.
This is the new normal. And here's the problem with having events right now. It's interesting when we're talking about stats and you're talking about stats as far as job loss. Let's talk about stats that involve lives. Right now, worldwide, there are 3,744,975 people that have tested positive for corona. Out of those people, 1,260,000 are in the United States. We're nearly 1/3 of the world's population that are testing positive for this. The next country other than the United States that's testing, the next closest to us is Spain at 220,000. That's a difference of over 1 million. Why are we so much worse in terms of testing positive for this thing than the rest of the world? And I'll tell you why. Because right now in this country, it's a political issue. It shouldn't be a political issue. You mentioned Florida before. Florida says this is essential. Florida's saying a lot of things are essential, and it's going to get people hurt and killed because Governor DeSantis, and I hate to go into politics, but he's crazy and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's putting lives at risk. We should not be looking at Florida as the guiding light. We should be looking at them of what not to do. And what we shouldn't be doing is having boxing shows, WWE shows, AEW shows, or any other show right now until the curve has really flattened. Right now, our state, in the state of Illinois, we're still testing positive at 32% increases every single week. That's what we're doing. But yet, the White House doesn't want to even open things up. They want to open things up right away. They don't want to listen to their own people or the CDC. In fact, the CDC says you're going to take our stuff and you're not even going to show it to the rest of the world because somebody doesn't want you to see it. My problem right now, you're right. AEW had a lot of praise for this, that they tested everybody at their event. They tested everybody at their event and made sure that there was no corona in that building. Good. If you're going to do a live event, you should be doing that. However, there's a bigger problem. AEW got all the tests that they wanted. Guess who's not getting all the tests that they want? The average American person, frontline workers. My mom is a nurse right now, and she had an illness, a mysterious illness that occurred in February. Was it corona? We don't know because she never got tested. Guess what? She wants to have a test. They say, sorry, we don't have a test for you, even though you work with people on the front lines every single day. So she had to go out to some other place, spend $180 and get her own test. Americans and frontline workers, we should be valuing their lives, and we're not. When we say you hospital worker, you can't have a test, but you wrestler can have a test, that's a problem. And that's why we're not ready to have live shows right now. Until there's enough tests for everybody, we should not be giving it to boxers and MMA fighters.
Well, just down the street from where we stay there, Jeremy, they have free drive-in testing.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole family got a test. Right.
Your whole family did. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And thanks to Abbott Laboratories that we're being supplied with enough testing now. So what I'm saying is this.
We are. Illinois is.
I think we're having two different arguments here.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is this. If it's promised, if we can go about this safely, okay, I think that it is essential. Not only is it essential to make sure that, the coronavirus, that it goes down and not go up as many cases as being, that's positive for coronavirus. Not only that, but it's also extremely important that we don't fall into a financial crisis.
We're there already.
And also, I think that we also have to have more value in our spirit. You said yourself that you're at home, that you're depressed right now.
Of course, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a sense of normalcy is very valuable for our spirit, especially sporting fans. When we see something that's a bit more normal than what we've been going through, yes, we're living in a crisis right now. If we can make the best out of it, if we can make sure that we sustain our financial situation where we don't dive deep, because that is a whole new issue, and that can cause some major problems as well. So if we can walk and chew gum at the same time, I think that's a big if.
That's an if. That's an if right now because there aren't enough tests right now. And that's an if. Yeah, you can go down the street and get one. That's you. But we're not talking about just you. We're talking about this whole entire country. And we're not. Dr. Fauci doesn't think that we're going to have enough tests to test everybody that wants one until the end of June, if that. And that's an if. So, yeah, we happen to be in an area where there happens to be enough wealth and where people have stocked up on things and have, thank goodness have. But right now it's an if. And also, like I said, there's a limit. People that need to have them aren't getting them. We shouldn't be giving them right now to professional athletes until everybody can get them. If you can test everybody, including professional athletes, hey, let's do it. More money. But we're not there yet. That's why we shouldn't. Final belt. Final bell. We are, oh my goodness, we've been doing this for 56 minutes.
It's a good look. I'm looking at the comments out here. Now, this is a great debate. You did a good job hanging in there.
Oh, hey, I'm last one. Final bell. Last round. Devin Haney. Got into some. I just had to say the name. You hear me, Show? You there?
Yeah. I'm
back. I know. He got into some hot water for some racially insensitive comments.
Come on back. They cut us off. Come on back. We got to do this last. We got to do the final bell. Shout out to you. Everybody, I love it. That's how you come on back in. I love it. I think we only got an hour, so they cut us off. Come on back in. I see all y'all. Shy 3, shout out to you. Boss man, what's going on with you? Rube, what's happening? Up off it? Oops, what's going on? Everybody coming in. Good job. That's right. All right, so hold on. Yeah. Hey. We only got an hour. They cut us off. Let's do this last one.
All right. Final bell. Devin Haney got into some hot water for some racially insensitive comments. Was he in the wrong, and did he need to apologize for his comments? I'm going to start this thing off. Yes, he did need to apologize. Was it wrong? Yeah. And a lot of people have looked at Bernard Hopkins saying that, well, he did it to Joe Calzaghe. And you know what? It wasn't right when Bernard Hopkins said it, and it wasn't right when Devin Haney said it. However, you know, for a while there, I was really scared what he was going to do. And for a second, I thought he was going to do nothing. He was going to say, I said it, so what? But he came out and said, listen, I looked at it, I thought about it, I came back, I realized what I said and how it came off, which was it came off as ignorant, and it was ignorant. He's 20 years old. He said something he shouldn't have said, and he owned up to it. At this point, I'm thinking, hey, Devin, you made a mistake. You apologized for it. Let's move on. Let's see you in the ring. Yep.
You know what? Understandable. You know, Devin Haney. Here's the thing about Devin Haney, and here's the thing about Bernard Hopkins. When you ask if it was wrong, it could definitely be wrong on many different levels. But he could be wrong in the fact that a white boy can beat him. He could. When Bernard Hopkins said that, Joe Calzaghe went on to beat Bernard Hopkins. Okay, so he was wrong. But on top of that, right now we're in the social media is very racially sensitive right now, so it was wrong in that sense too. Because let me tell you why. If Tyson the Gypsy King Fury in February, preparing to fight Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, stood there and said, "I'm not going to let no black boy beat me," he should apologize. He better apologize right away. And I'm definitely putting all my chips on Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder to knock him out if he were to say something like that. I think Devin Haney, he tried to overcorrect something. What he should have said was, no one can beat me. But he said, I wouldn't let a white boy beat me. Okay? Now, I think Devin Haney feels in his heart of heart that no one can beat him. Now, why did he single out white boys? Okay? A white boy. Now, if you use that, that's very derogatory. All right? Now, as a black man, it doesn't affect me as much. And I would like to, refer to you to see, how much that actually affects you to hear Devin Haney say that, okay? But I think his reasoning behind it could be this. Devin Haney is immature. He's a young guy. Devin Haney has a type of stardom and things that he's never had before, okay? And Devin Haney, being someone who is actually, growing very quickly, substantially. In many cultures, not just the black culture, but in many cultures, you have other people, you have your culture, people within your culture saying, regardless of how much you succeed, how big you get, make sure you keep it real. Always keep it real. Remember where you came from. And I think the phrase, what Devin Haney did, what he said, he overdid keeping it real. I don't know if you ever seen Meet the Parents, but remember when Fokker, when they were having a volleyball in the pool, and they were like, you got to be aggressive, Fokker, and he went up and he spiked the ball, and then he gave the girl the bloody eye, the bloody nose, and busted her eye. I think that was Devin Haney. He overdid it. I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah.
I'm blood. Bang. And what happens there, you make an immature statement that you have to retract. It was wrong, and he should have apologized.
Show, I think we're ending on a unanimous decision on that one. I think we are in agreement. So let's get to the conclusion. The rematch is over. Until we shall see.
Yo, I think I lost.
We shall see if we get a trilogy. I'm back. I keep pausing here.
Yeah.
So let's get to some final remarks. Let's give a big thank you to everyone that helped put this together. Adrian Clark, FightNet, thank you for hosting us. There's his book, Dark Horse. Jump on Amazon, type in Dark Horse, Adrian Clark, you will find it. Make sure to check out FightNet. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at FightNet, on Facebook at Fight Network, and Adrian Clark at AC_Clark. Show, any final remarks?
Oh, yeah. Look, you did one heck of a job. You hung in there. You sat on the rope, see the rope of dope. I'm swinging and I'm punching, but I didn't tire out. I want to tell all my show business partners out there, thank you for coming out. You guys are the best. And everybody that's watching us, thank you for showing up. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Showbizz the Adult, Facebook, Showbizz the Adult, Twitter, Biz Adult, and Instagram, Showbiz_the_adult. And to AC Adrian Clark, you're the man. Thank you so much for supporting us. And we call you AC Adrian Clark because you're so cool.
That's right. Thank you for the great matchup. Until next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Showbiz the Adult. I'm out.